like that dime bag of weed that we were talking about. At that point, you don't. Go ahead, click me or give me. Actually, you clicked it. Give me.
Probable cause, though?
I need something more than probable cause.
Probable cause gives the right to police to search you. If you see a dime bag of weed,
if you would have said that, I would have taken it. But you didn't say the dime bag and the weed. Are you sure you want to say anything? Are you sure you want to say anything? Pick me a category. Go. We're almost out of time. Go, go, go.
Civil rights, 5.
Civil rights for 5. List all you can. Voting tests used to prevent the freedmen from voting. You've got it first. Who's got it next? Are you sure? That really wasn't a confidence. All right, you guys have it. Well, explain it to me.
How many bubbles are there in a bottle of shower gel? I call it shower.
How many bubbles are in a bottle of shower gel? -5. They didn't have shower gel in the 1860s. What did she just do?
In a bar of soap.
You've got it on camera.
In a bar of soap.
Go ahead, you got it. How many bubbles are in a bar of soap? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The jelly bean test.
What's the jelly bean test?
How many jelly beans are in a jar? You have to guess, and if you get it wrong, then you can't vote.
And if you get it right?
Then they give you another test.
-5. Go ahead.
grandfather.
What's the grandfather clause?
That your forefathers had to be able to vote for you to be able to have the right.
Before
the amendment was passed.
we didn't go over the grandfather clause much, but I'll mention it. The grandfather clause is the idea that your grandfather could vote before the Civil War, basically, before the Civil War ended, in fact. And the idea was that when you think about it, they're not denying you, but they're denying you based on his ability to be able to vote or not. Give me some more. So we had the jelly. What was the jelly bean test exactly?
The jelly bean test, they would ask you to guess how many jelly beans were inside a jar.
A jar.
And if you couldn't guess it, you couldn't vote.
And if you could guess it and they didn't want you to vote,
They'd say you were wrong.
they would say you were wrong. That's kind of what I was looking for on that. Maybe I wasn't quite fair, but I haven't been fair with everybody, so that balances out. What was the poll tax? Well, the grandfather clause, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. What's the poll tax?
You had to pay a tax to go to the polls.
And?
To vote.
And?
And if you couldn't pay that tax, then you couldn't vote.
And so what was how did this deny people the right to vote, the freedmen?
Well, they would put it so high that most people couldn't pay for that.
So were they just denying the freedmen?
No, also the poor and the women.
They were denying the freedmen, but also the poor whites. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Absolutely. Anything else?
There was also reading and writing.
The literacy test. Go ahead.
They would ask you to read a passage, or they'd give an easier passage to a white guy.
Or somebody that they wanted to vote.
Someone they wanted to vote.
Yes.
And then they'd give a much more difficult passage, say Shakespeare, to African American.
Yeah, exactly. In the grand scheme of things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, what were the 3 things that the 15th Amendment said you could not deny based on?
It was not denied on race, color, or previous conditions.
You could not deny the vote based on the account of race. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or previous condition of servitude. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when you look at this, the jelly bean test did not do this. It denied you the right to vote on account of your ability to know jelly beans. The soap bubble test, not of gel, but of soap bar. It's denying you on the ability to know the number of bubbles. Literacy, your ability to read, has nothing to do with race, color, previous condition of servitude. So the 15th Amendment didn't give you the right to vote. It gave you reasons that you couldn't be denied the right to vote. Pick me a category. Click it, Karen.
4 points.
Executive for 4. Go. Oh, I think this is the last one. I hope to God it is. The last one. Who's drawing?
Not me, man.
Come on up, Zoran. Zoran, they may not have this in Serbia. That's what I need you to draw.
It's something that ain't Serbian.
Yeah. Shh, don't say it. Okay. 1 minute, starting on the 2. Go, Zoran. Oh, I'm sorry. That's what I'm
doing. Don't worry about details.
Oh, my.
Birth control. The pad.
Oh, my. It's an ice cream cone.
Sippy straw.
Oh, my. Oh, I get it, but... I'm not... 30 seconds.
Kurt, come on, make yourself.
Come on, talk, man. Oh, I got
And this is from the presidency chapter. Oh my God, what is that? No, don't. I don't feel comfortable with those gestures.
Is she smoking pot? Are you talking about the maybe Monica?
You can yell out what you want to yell out. It's something we talked about, though.
Monica Lewinsky, Bill Clinton.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I need a guess.
Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky.
No, you really want this?
FDA.
No, it's not the FDA.
No preemption issue.
It's not that either.
Contraceptives.
Okay, FDA, contraceptives. Is this minus 15? Is this minus 15?
Minus 10.
What? Go ahead, Grace. You want this? Go ahead, Grace.
She already took it.
She did take it.
Is it the Johnson?
I already said that, man.
Birth control?
It's still my. No, it's not that either. First hand I see. I want you to explain to me the significance of makeup. Makeup. First hand I see from the presidency chapter. Explain to me the. Go ahead. You've got it next.
It was in the 1960s election when there was JFK and Nixon. JFK just came back from California, so he had a nice strong stance with him.
Okay, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4. JFK and Nixon were running in the 1960 election, and Kennedy had just come back from California with nice tan skin. Nixon had just come from
The hospital.
the hospital. But for what? Why were they meeting?
Presidential debate.
The first presidential debate. 1, 2, 3, 4.
On TV.
Oh, yes, the first presidential debate that was televised. Go ahead. What was the significance of makeup?
So the significance was.
I got it. All right. On TV, people thought that Kennedy won because.
Well, no. Give me the significance of makeup first.
Oh, it made him look better. And Nixon wouldn't wear it because he didn't want to be feminine.
Nixon refused to wear it, and as such, he did not present nearly as well on television. What other reasons did Nixon lose the 1960 televised debate?
He wasn't looking in the camera.
He would not look at the camera, and he looked like he was not looking at the people, but Kennedy did. Go ahead.
And he looked like a floating head because of
Why?
the clothing that he wore.
The suit that he wore, blending in. 1, 2, 3, 4 with the background. Anything else?
On the radio, it sounded like Nixon won because they couldn't see his bad appearance.
Because they were listening to his views rather than his appearance.
Nixon won on radio because it was based on ideas. Kennedy won on television because the thought was it was based on image and presentation. Click it. Pick me a category. While we're looking, 55, 60, 65, 70, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, 110.
Yeah. Let's
10, 50, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55,
Can't hear you.
and 31.
Legislature.
Legislature for 5. Go, Karen. Definition, first hand I see. Bill of Attainder, I think it's going to be Peter.
The ex post facto law is when you do something and then they get later in time they pass a law that made it illegal. They can't charge you with
What does ex post facto literally mean?
after the fact.
Ex post facto literally means after the fact. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It absolutely does. So the idea is that you do something. It's legal when you do it, but then they pass a law afterwards that ultimately punishes you. So yeah, you gave me the definition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you give me an example? Anybody in
The
the
sex
room?
offender laws.
What about the sex offender
Well,
laws?
if you live within radius of a school zone before the law was passed,
Yes.
then technically you shouldn't be allowed to force him, like
Right, they
him or
went back
her,
and made
to
him
move
move.
away.
Yeah,
but
the
they
sex
still
of-
do.
Go ahead.
They still. I mean, that's an example of like almost.
The sex offender laws are basically adding on additional punishments for convicted sex offenders that were convicted 10, 15, 20 years ago. This is argued as an ex post facto law, but right now it's legal. What's a bill of attainder? 5.
It's
Four.
another law that's not addressed in the Constitution. That's not technically legal. That they were addressing to basically rule it out.
It's not always
Like the ex post
enforced.
facto.
3.
The ones that aren't always enforced.
Bill of attainder. 2. 1. Who got it next? Go ahead, Loretta.
At the same time, when Congress, the legislature has the power to pass a bill to either incriminate someone or make the person guilty.
That's exactly right. When the legislature ultimately declares somebody innocent or guilty of a crime. And what's the problem with the bill of
The
attainder?
problem with that is that there's going to be an issue preferential or favoritism. Maybe if you know someone in parliament or in the legislature, then
Yes.
you could make his friends pass a bill to make you innocent when you're actually guilty.
That's true. Now, what's the problem for you, though? If you are the subject of a bill of attainder and they declare you guilty, what's the problem?
That doesn't give me the voice to.
Doesn't give you the voice. Absolutely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Click it. Ex post facto, retroactive criminal law, bill of attainder, act of legislature declaring innocent or guilt. Go ahead, click it again. Pick me a category. Go. Well, there's only 2.
Okay, 5.
5 for executive. List all you can. Youngstown versus Sawyer. You have it first, the next man, and Rebecca's got it second. Go ahead. Go ahead. Explain to me the story of Youngstown versus Sawyer. This is a big one. This is a big one. 5, 4. Who's got it next? They do, right? 3. And then who's got it third? We do it. 2. Go ahead. Who? Yeah, who? What president? Okay, anybody in the group? 4. Fitzgerald? Minus 5. Go ahead, bartender.
It's actually Rebecca.
Go ahead, Rebecca.
Youngstown was a steel company's owner.
Shh, a little bit louder, Rebecca.
Youngstown was a steel company's
Yes.
owner, and during World War II, they were producing steel, and the war needed a lot of steel, and the workers started to go on strike.
Minus 5.
Why? Why?
Because it was the Korean War.
It was the Korean War. Minus 5. It was the Korean War. Go ahead, Cole's group.
It's alright.
Everything she said was right to that point, except for the Korean War. Youngstown Steel was a steel company in the United States, in Youngstown, Ohio, that actually manufactured 40% of the nation's steel. But they did something during the Korean War. They went on strike. And what was it that Truman did?
He wanted to take over the, well, he did take over the company and run it.
What does that mean, to take over the company? He seized the steel mill. What does that
I can't
mean?
believe you remember that.
He uses executive powers to seize the steam mill.
What specific executive power? 5.
It was
4.
the
This
power-
should be really obvious.
Powers.
What's that?
Emergency powers. His executive.
Commander-in-Chief.
Commander-in-Chief powers. Truman, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Truman used his commander-in-chief powers to seize the mills and force the workers to go back to work so that the troops would not be hung out fighting China in the Korean War. Okay, what was the problem? Or was there a problem?
The issue was whether or not it bridged on the rights of private property or private enterprise, and whether or not it was constitutional because the business may not have been making the same amount of money that it
There was a law at issue. What was the law? 5. 4. There was a specific law. 3. 2. 1. Who's got it? Green. Brittany. What's that? Taft-Hartley Labor Act. What was the story with the Taft-Hartley Labor Act? What was the amendment that was offered? There was an amendment that was offered.
The act did not say the president could not seize striking companies, so the Congress put an amendment to include this, but it got struck down.
That's exactly what it was. The Congress attempted to give the president the power to seize striking companies and force them to go to work, and the amendment was voted down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This case was dealing with presidential powers, and it gave 3 tests. When presidential power was highest, when it was still